Hi, it's Mrs. Blankenbeckler, and I'm here to go over lesson 8.04. This is solving quadratics part 2, but this is the first lesson in 8.04. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to solve quickly quadratics that are missing the middle term, or the b, the linear portion. You have the quadratic portion, which is x squared, but you're missing the b term, or bx. So this is a quick way to do this. Okay, I have a perfect square, and if it's not in this form, you want to go ahead and move the constant to the opposite side. So you have the x squared by itself equal to the constant. From here, all you're going to do is square root both sides, because the opposite of squaring is square rooting. So I'm going to square root the left side, square root the right side, and I'm left with x squared. And then when you take the square root, you always have two roots. You're going to have a positive and a negative square root, because negatives squared are positive numbers, right? So you always have two roots when you take the square root. So I'm going to have plus or minus the square root of 32. But we know the square root of 32 simplifies. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to simplify the square root of 32. You're looking for the largest factor that is a perfect square. Well, let's see. 16 times 2 gives me 32. So I can take 16 times 2, and then some people learn it like this, and this is how I taught it last year. You try to find two factors that are identical, and they come out of the radical. So 4 times 4, 4 comes out, I'm left with the square root of 2. So my final answer is plus or minus 4 square roots of 2. And that's how you solve this, missing the middle term. So that's how you solve a quadratic in a little quicker way when you're missing the middle term. So let's try a second one. Now we have 3x squared equals 15. Again, if the 15 were on this side, I would throw it over the equation, the equal sign, and change the sign. But it's already there. So I've got to get the x squared by itself, divided by 3. My black pen's not wanting to work for me. And I get x squared equal 5. Then I'm doing a square just like I did up here, square root both sides. Square root, cancel. And I'm left with x equals plus or minus the square root of 5. And that doesn't simplify. So you're done. Okay, so quick little way to solve quadratics when you're missing the middle term. It's a little bit easier than trying to factor. Okay, you just get the x squared by itself and simplify. Okay, that's the first part of what I'm teaching you today. The second part of what I'm teaching you today is how to solve an equation by completing the square. You guys have learned how to complete the square in order to get a quadratic from standard form to vertex form. We're going to use the same concept, but we're going to use it to solve a quadratic. So let's take this example. I have x squared minus 6x minus 40 equals 0. So let's look at what we have here. We have a quadratic in descending order. And we have all three parts. We have the quadratic part, we have the bx in this one, and we have the constant. Okay, just like what I did before, is I'm going to complete the square. You have to and you square it. You add it and subtract it. But I'm going to do it a little bit different this time. Now that we're solving it, I'm going to take my constant, and I am going to move it to the opposite side of my equation. So I'm going to bring down an x squared minus 6x. Then I'm going to leave myself a little bit of space, because I'm going to add the constant that I need. Okay, now when I move this 40 over, it's a negative 40 here, so it's a positive 40 over here. That's just called what? Transposing. We can transpose. Okay, I'm going to sing my little song. You have to and you square, and you add it to both sides. On this one, I'm actually going to add the constant to both sides, because as you know in an equation, to keep it equivalent, if I add something to one side, I have to add it to the other side. So I'm going to half it and square it and add it to both sides. Half it, square it. What is half of 6? 3. 3 squared, 9. So I'm going to add 9 to the left side, and I'm going to add 9 to the right side to keep it a true equation, equal on both sides. Now, what I have created is a perfect square trinomial. I can now factor this in too. Well, what's our magic number? When I take half of that before I square it, that's my magic number. So right here, the number 3 is my magic number. Then why do I need that? Because that is the square root of 9, and it's half of the 6, and that's how it's going to factor. X minus 3 quantity squared. X plus, minus 3 squared equals, add my two constants together, 49. Now notice, a little bit fancier, but don't I have a perfect square over here? Instead of just being x squared, I have an x minus 3 squared, but it's a perfect square. So now watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to square root the left side. Ha-ha. I'm going to square root the right side. And what happens? This square root and this square are canceled out. What am I left with? X minus 3. Okay, now over here, don't be caught making that mistake. When you take the square root, how many solutions do you have? 2. Okay, 2. What's the square root of 49? 7 times 7. But I have to write positive and negative 7. I have 2 possible solutions. Now, I'm so close to being done because x is not by itself yet. So I need to add 3. So I'm going to add 3 to this side. I'm going to add 3 to this side. But, oh, be careful. Over here, I've got 2 possible answers. Positive 7 plus 3. That means one of my answers is 10. Negative 7 plus 3. Negative 7 plus 3. Negative 4. And those are my 2 solutions. So usually these 2 solutions are not going to be like plus or minus 3 or plus or minus 4. You're going to have to take these and add and subtract them to this. So 7 plus 3 is 10. Negative 7 plus 3 is negative 4. So there's my 2 solutions. And you've just learned how to solve by completing the square. Okay, I'm going to put one up here. You can pause at this point and try some on your own, but I'm going to throw one more up here. I would encourage you to stop the video and then just check it at the end. Okay, here's the one I'm challenging you with. X squared plus 8x plus 15 equals 0. Okay, pause, give it a try. Okay, I'm back to give you the solution. So, I'm going to get rid of my 15, right? So I'm going to throw that 15 over the fence, and it becomes a negative 15. Then I'm going to sing my song. You half it, you square it, you add it to the sides. Half it, you square it. What's missing? 16. So I'm going to add 16 to both sides. Where did I get 16? Half it, 4 squared 16. Now I'm going to factor. What was my magic number? Square root of that, half of that. Magic number is 4. X plus 4, quantity squared, equals positive 1. How do I undo this? Square root the left, square root the right. X plus 4 equals plus or minus square root of 1 is 1. Minus 4 minus 4. X is negative 3 and negative 5. And I'm done. Hopefully you got it right. I have 1 minute to finish up because I'm trying to keep these to 10 minutes or less. But that is the first part of this lesson. Second part is going to be, what do you do if it doesn't come out nice? How do you handle it if it's not factorable? If you can't complete the square easily, we've got a new method called the quadratic formula. So if you've seen it before, great, because it's just going to be a review. If not, watch and you can learn the quadratic formula. See you next time.